All right, moving on to the next game. We're going back in the arcades for Super Breakout. It's got to be the better version of Breakout. Let's see the artwork for Super Breakout in the arcades using similar artwork than in the first Breakout. This is by Atari. They're improving on Breakout, which came out years before. There's the example of the arcade cabinet. And then examples of circuit boards. Here's our control panel. Looks like it is just a turn dial. You just twist the dial left and right to control the paddle. And it looks like we have, okay, different buttons to change, I guess, difficulty. Serving, progressive, double, or cavity. And then there's our marquee for Super Breakout. And this is an arcade game programmed entirely in black and white. So here's our manual for Super Breakout in the arcade, the service, maintenance, and operation manual. Let's see if they give us an example of what Super Breakout is. So keep in mind, it's 1978, and genres of games, or how to define what games are, hasn't really been invented yet. They make them up as they go. So let's see what they say Super Breakout is. It's a 1 or 2 player game developed by Atari, packaged in an upright floor resting cabinet, illustrated by brightly colored orange, red, and white graphics to further enhance potential play. 19-inch monitor and shielded by plexiglass that displays the colorful graphics. So the game itself is not being programmed in color. They're using the plexiglass to display the color. The player-operated controls are mounted on a control panel directly below the TV monitor viewing screen of the front of the cabinet as illustrated in Figure 1-1. But the controls consist of the game select, the rotary switch, they call it the paddle knob control, and then the serve button for 1 or 2 players. So there's your example of what they would describe in 1978 as Super Breakout. Let's check it out. I want to play it right here like this. All right, so it's September. It's September 1978. We're in the arcade playing Super Breakout. All right, so here we go. This is what the original arcade cabinet looked like. They have the bricks, actual bricks for the arcade cabinet. And let's see what happens if we put a coin in. I'm going to put 1 coin in, cha-ching, and then I'm going to push the 1 player to start. And then now if you look at the bottom of the screen, we should have, there we go. So I got my paddle moving back and forth. I'm moving it using the dial or the paddle to slide it back and forth. Very smooth, very easy controls, but we have seen this and lots of variations of this. The fact that if you notice the game is displaying green, yellow, blue, and orange, that is the overlay. The plexiglass is displaying the color. The game's just black and white. So how much better is this than Breakout? Well, the original Breakout didn't have a microprocessor. This game is the one we can actually play because it has an onboarded microprocessor. We can emulate it. All right, here we go. Getting closer to the bottom, but pretty simple. It's the idea that we've seen before with Breakout, just added color, and now we have the ability to play it. Oh yeah, it's going crazy fast now. But controls are super smooth, very average for the time. I dig it. That is fun and classic for 1978. All right, this one gets a solid average 3 out of 5. It is straight on average for 1978 in the arcade. All right, moving on to our next game. We are back in the Apple II playing 3D Docking Mission. A lot of the games we're playing on the home computer were programmed in-house. So it's usually one person that got a hold of the computer and used some wizardry and magic to make these games happen. They pretty much latched on to how to program for BASIC and learned that programming and then turned that into a video game. It was all the people that picked it up really quick. All right, let's see what 3D Docking Mission is. So looks like this is from the Electric Keyboard, whoever published it. So it looks like the game has 3D Docking Mission. There you go. It's split into top and side views. You use 6 thrusters to guide your ship through an asteroid field and dock with the mothership. Okay, so you just fly the ship to the other side, I guess. Easier said than done. How it works on the Apple II controller, I do not know. All right, so no manual. This will be interesting. Let's play 3D Docking Mission. This is September 1978. We're at home playing the Apple II. 3D Docking Mission. Still loading. Keep in mind, this is loading faster than the actual Apple II at the time. Okay, here we go. So it gives us some examples of controls. This is not using a joystick because I guess the original Apple II didn't have a joystick that could be plugged in. I'm going to be using controls for it. And what controls? T is up, B is down, H is forward, and F is reverse. So I don't know if you can look down at your keyboard if you have one, but the keyboard itself is pointing at the middle keys as the up, down, left, and right. All right, so hit S to start. Let's see how this works. So here we go. I am controlling the ship at the bottom by thrusting, going around the asteroids. I can go down, I can go up, but I'm choosing to go how... Ooh! God. Okay, so it's using some physics to determine how quick I'm going. Am I controlling both ships? I don't think so. Yeah, the other ship at the top isn't moving, but now how do I reset? Because my ship is totally stuck against the wall right now. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we do have control of it. So I'm now, looks like I'm controlling just the bottom ship. And you can see now, okay, I'm out of fuel. You have to be able to get to the dock at the end without running out of fuel. Cool idea, especially for the home. This is the first time we've seen gravity program for a home computer game. All right, that was 3D docking mission. Very good for the time, average for the time. I'd say this is still a 3, but because of how simple, we can do 2.5, so a little, just slightly below average, but still around that range for 1978. All right, moving on to the next game. We're going back in the arcades. This is called Dog Patch. 1978. Let's see the artwork for Dog Patch. Here's the advertisement flyer. A 1 or 2 player game of marksmanship. Oh, so we get to shoot from Midway. Cans are tossed, and it looks like something, again, that somebody had played in their own yard and decided to make it into a video game. Let's see what the manual is like for Dog Patch. This is September 1978, Midway's Dog Patch. And this goes through an installation, which we won't cover. We're not going to install any arcade cabinets here. But there's an example of the arcade cabinet and all the different parts. And it looks like we're not getting any introduction. This is literally the manual of how to install the arcade cabinet. All right, here we go. It is September 1978. We're playing Dog Patch in the arcade. Oh, and we got everything, the full gamut. We got the marquee at the top. We got all the artwork on the sides. And then we got the control panel at the bottom. That looks awesome. All right, so let's see what happens if we put a coin in. We'll go ahead and put one in. To start the game, push the 1-player button. So I'll push the 1-player button on the control panel. And then it's saying to blaze away. Where's my gun? Okay, so I'm the guy on the right. And it looks like I can just move the dial left and right. And then there you go, I got the can to shoot away. All I'm supposed to do is keep bouncing the can back and forth. But all I have for controls is moving the gun up and down. See, you just shot it again, and I just shot it back over. So whoever gets it back on the other side gets points. And I'm playing against a computer. They programmed the left gunman to play against me. There we go, good. So I'm getting the points. You can see him traveling over. Oh, and they also have a bird that flies across that you can shoot the bird, too. Oh, this would be a really fun 2-player game, but simple concept. It's bouncing an object from one end to the other, kind of like Pong, but I'm not using a gun. I'm using, you can see the dial. I'm just turning a dial to aim the gun up and down. And the computer is killing me, but I really enjoy this. This is pretty fun. Very good for the time. I'd say I'm still going to go average, so 3 stars, because it's something slightly different, but it's still one object on either side. Kind of reminds me of Pong. So 3 stars. All right. That was Dog Patch. Let's move on to our next game. Still in the arcades. This is Atari Football. That's right, Atari Football. And arcades is what's really pushing the technology and pushing video games right now. If you notice, what Atari wanted to do in the arcades is make football out of O's and X's. So we're not playing with people, we're playing with O's and X's for our football. Let's see some of the artwork for Atari Football. Love the artwork. We're looking at the cocktail version of the cabinet from top down. Looks like it's controlled with a trackball. There you go. The new trackball allows instant movement and control of key players in any direction. I think this might be the first time we've seen a trackball. Everything else has been a dial for sensitive movements, or not a joystick, but something more analog. There you go. There's an example of the arcade cabinet, still using that wood grain. Loving the artwork on the side, taking the Atari swoosh and making it a Technicolor. And there's the example of the arcade cabinet. What a trackball. How big is that? Is that a softball? That looks huge. And then examples of how to play over on the side over here. Looks like we just got moving up, down, left, and right, and then passing and kicking. That's so pretty simple, but a two-player version that you can play with other people. Wait, was it two? Yeah, two-player. And we are still being programmed in black and white. Here's the manual for Atari Football, the Operation and Service Manual. Let's see if they give us an introduction of what this is. Atari usually does on their manuals. Lots of information. So here we go, location setup. Football is a two-player game developed by Atari. The game's packaged in a cocktail cabinet, graphically illustrated with football plays and action figures. The monitor displays different football plays in a track mode, enhancing attraction for passing potential players. They're really selling to the arcade owner to get him to buy the cabinet. The player-operated controls are mounted on either side of the screen, end zones, which allow proper player orientation during play mode. The player controls consist of a play-pass LED push-button switch from a player track ball. They're putting the name trackball. I really think this is the first time we've seen a trackball in the arcade. The ball rolls smoothly at the shove of the palm of your hand, and you move it in defensive or offensive positions to get to the goal or boundary lines. And this is one of the trackballs, at least this, I'm pretty sure the first one was, that it kept rolling. So as soon as you rolled it, it was like a bowling ball almost. It just continued to spin after you rolled it to simulate you're moving your character across the side. All right, so we got different versions. We do have a 4-player version. If only there were 4 people in the arcade that could play with me right now. But let's check it out. This is October 1978, playing Atari Football in the arcades. And there we go. We have everything, even the instructions that were on the control panel itself. And we don't have a trackball, but they did show us the button we push to select and pass. Let's just see what happens if we put a coin in. Ba-ching! And it looks like it's waiting for someone else, if someone else is going to play. And if I push start, let's see, this is saying I'm going to be playing on the defense, and someone else is going to be playing on the offense. And the idea is it's just X's and O's crossing the field. I don't think we need to spend too much time with it, but I would say this is influential because of the trackball. Using that in the arcade for the first time. That's pretty good. So for this in the arcades at the time, I could see above average 3.5 stars. It's still being only programmed in black and white, but that trackball bumps it up a notch because of how influential it's going to be on other games. All right. That was our Atari Football. Moving on to our next game. This is called Frogs in the arcade. So still in the arcade. I love the arcade. Because the arcade games are meant to, it's like this channel. We're checking out a game, we move to the next game. That's what you did in the arcade. All right, so this is Frogs. Let's see the artwork for Frogs. You know it's 1978 when the games have one name and 4 letters. It's one jump ahead of the others. That can't be the advertisement flyer. It's too simple. It looks like they're not selling to anybody that owns an arcade. There's the arcade cabinet. Again, very simple. The side of it right here looks like someone just drew it themselves and then pasted a poster board on the side of it. But we do have, if you can see on the plexiglass, they have the different colors that they're going to display. Most likely the game's in black and white is my guess. And here's our controls. We have tongue and jump and then moving left and right. And that's it for the controls. Yep, and the game is going to be programmed only in black and white. Let's see if we get overlays for it. Here's the manual for Frogs. Again, looks like it was a homebrew game. This is by Gremlin, so not quite up to snuff with Atari or Midway, but Gremlin's still pumping out some arcade games, and you can see this is the Operation and Service Manual. Do they have an intro? No, the only intro they say is, it's an electronic game that makes extensive use of digital integrated circuitry and television monitor. So, what? They're just talking about the electronics of the game. I want to know what Frogs is, not about how you built it. No, nothing. So the manual doesn't have what exactly Frogs is. It's just talking about what an arcade cabinet is. All right, so it's October 1978. We're in the arcade playing Frogs. Bye. Sacred Gremlin. All right, we did get it. So if you see all the color and display, this is what you saw when you looked in the arcade cabinet. The trees on either side were on top of the plexiglass. Then behind it, they had different things drawn to make it look like you're in the swamp. But there isn't anything that's giving us color. So the frogs are still in black and white. Or, I guess, white on the color in the background. All right, so let's see what the controls are. It looks like we have up, down, left, and right, one button, and coin button. Okay, that works. And then if we look in the back of the cabinet, we have really no options that we could pick from. All right, let's check it out. We're stepping up to the cabinet, 1978, putting a coin in, and here we go. Am I on? Yeah, so I'm moving the frog left and right at the bottom, and when it's time to jump, I want to jump. Can I jump? Oh, there we go. So I can use the button to jump up, and then I have a little frog tongue button. I'm supposed to get all the... Yep. All I'm doing is racking up the points to get the different bugs that fly by. And we have a little bit of sound effects. No music or anything like that. It actually is making me think of other frog games in the arcade. I'll let you fill in the blank there. But this is the first frog game we've seen in the arcade, where I'm playing as a frog. Oh, I want to get that B. Come here, B. Come here, B. Oh, man, they made the B's got to be extra points. Because he moves so quick. Come on. He's moving out of my way, and he's not going to... Come on. There we go. Got him. Oh, and they brought another one out. But controls are pretty simple. It's just moving left and right. I don't even know... How do I die? Am I just racking up points, trying to get the bugs? Come here. I'm eating all the pretty butterflies. Oh, okay. That's how you die. I jumped off the lily pad. Wait a second. I'm a frog. Why is the frog dead after I jump in the water? Maybe I'm a toad who thinks he's a frog. And it looks like this is a timed game. If you look at the top. No! I accidentally jumped off the side again. Get the bugs. Get them. Get them. There we go. Time's up. Got the high score. Because as all the games we play on Chronologically Gaming, we are booting up the arcade cabinet for the first time. So I'll always get the high score. Or whoever's able to play with me. All right. So that was Frogs. Very cool. All right, that one is fun game, new concept. So I'm gonna give that one 3.5, oh, maybe 4. It's pretty good for the time. It played really well and was simple, but it's still black and white. Let's give it 3.5. 3.5 for Frogs in the arcade. So just slightly above average. In the chat, someone called it 2. Give it a 2. What, you don't like Frogs? All right, moving on to our next game, still in the arcade. This is GB. And so we're moving from frogs to bees. Maybe? I'm not sure. Let's look at the artwork for GB. Here's the advertisement flyer. This is from NAMCO. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first game from NAMCO. The first ever video game from NAMCO. And NAMCO is currently one of the only people that are still making arcade games to this day. Love the advertisement flyer. They are killing it. This is the Japanese advertisement flyer. And there's the example of the arcade cabinet. What is a GB, though? Looks like my controls are just left, right, and serve. What? Is it tennis? Am I serving? There's the marquee for GB. And if you said by Gremlin, Gremlin was the people that brought it to different regions after NAMCO programmed it. All right, so there is our game, a black and white arcade game, as we've seen for the time. Let's see, the manual. Is the manual in English? Yes, because this is the Gremlin manual. They took what NAMCO programmed, and this is the Operation Service Manual. If it's Gremlin, okay, Gremlin does the same thing. They don't tell us what it is. They just say, here's the game. All right, we have different versions, the European, Japanese, or US version. We're going to play the US version. This is October 1978. We're in the arcade playing GB. Every video game in order of release. Oh, that's nice. They gave us some of the overlay, so we have something in color. Let's see what they tell us about GB. It looks like joining NAMCO, one of the developers, Toro, wanted to design pinball games. GB, QDQ, and Bombi were his arcade game hybrid. So this is a pinball-flavored ball and paddle game. They're taking the idea of Pong and making it into a pinball game. Okay, I got you. All right, let's see what our buttons are. It looks like we got... one button and moving left and right. Easy peasy. Let's put a coin in. Cha-ching! And then when we push start, where is my paddle? I don't see my paddle anywhere. Hello? Oh, wait. I don't have a paddle because it's blocking the screen. So we need to get a different one. It looks like it's not showing it the correct way. Let's see if we try a different one. Let's see if this one loads it correctly. There we go. All right, so let's put our coin in. Cha-ching! And then push start or fire or, I'm sorry, serve. So here's my paddle. I got 2 paddles, and it looks like as soon as I hit serve, now I am playing Pinball Breakout. So it's a mixture of Pinball and Breakout. Now, we've seen one other pinball video game. So they've been trying to make that because pinball is still popular in the arcades, and this is combining Breakout and pinball. It's almost like the best evolution for video games. So Namco's got a good idea. We like Breakout. We like pinball. Let's put it together. All right, so serving the ball, and it's it gets the job done. You can see we got different colors on the top and the sides. Those colors are being programmed with an overlay, and you can tell because you see as the ball goes past them, it's changing the same color as the paddles because that was the color on the plexiglass. Cool. Very nice. I like it. GB. Let's give that one a above average 3.5. Namco putting their foot in the ring. All right, so we hear from the chat. Jade Babydoll says, do you know if they had any arcade games in Japan as well, or did they just market and ship to Europe and America? Well, originally, we began this channel in 1971, and in 1971, all the commercial arcade games began in North America and then were shipped overseas to Europe, Japan, and different parts of the world. Those arcade games eventually got designers and developers to create their own arcade cabinets. GB is one example of them first making it in Japan. And the other one we saw, the big one that we saw last episode, was Space Invaders. So this is, we now are having people create arcade games in Japan. However, we haven't seen any home consoles yet. That we'll get to those. This is arcade games being programmed in Japan. And then also distributed by other people.